Welcome everybody to the first episode of the Blue View podcast. We thank you so much for tuning in today because, you guys have just been so supportive and it's been amazing the response we got when we decided to launch this. So, whether you're listening on YouTube or Spotify, it means so much because it means you're joining us on our journey. And yeah, as I've said 10 times already, so grateful, so thankful for that. And I say we because I'm very happy to be joined by my co-host and very good friend and well-known Chelsea account, CFC Dubois.
Hello, everyone. Just to reiterate what Pi said basically, we're really thankful for all of you and all of your support when we said that we were going to start this podcast. I think it's something we were thinking about for a while and we've enjoyed featuring on other Chelsea podcasts. So this is kind of a no-brainer, really. And yeah, we're just really excited to start this journey and, we hope that it will be successful.
Today, our first guest is going to be a very, very well-respected account on Chelsea Twitter. It's going to be Frank Khalid. He's very, very good, obviously, at everything he does. A hugely respected account, and we're so glad to have him on. Very, very good opinions as well. So, yeah, this guy's amazing. We can't wait to have him on. And, looking forward to the episode today with him.
Yeah, and what we'll do at the end, we'll ask Frank to sort of drop all his socials and tell us a bit more about himself. So that way, you guys can follow his socials, etc. But we'll get to that bit at the end.
Guys, so basically what we're going to be doing today is sort of like a mini match review over the next 30 to 40 minutes. Going to get a lot of opinions flowing. I've got some topics to discuss with Frank as well being our guest. He will get a lot of say on this. And so basically I'm just going to start off. The first topic we're going to talk about is Hakim Ziyech. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I thought he played amazing today. Even in the first half, I thought, when we weren't playing so well, he was one of the ones sort of dictating the play. He sort of looked our most lively attacker for me. He put a good ball into Havertz at the end of the half. But even from the start, I just thought he was lively. He was good on the ball. He was interchanging well with the other attackers. And yeah, for me, our best player today, man of the match. So I'm going to start off with Frank as our guest. What do you think about Ziyech's performance today in general?
I think he played really well. It's good to see that he's got a bit of minutes underneath his belt. A couple of times we've seen him, didn't look quite right. Looked like he was lacking match fitness. But today, I think we saw a bit of the real Hakim Ziyech, and we know what he can do. I'm glad he got the goal, took it really well. And yeah, he was very impressive. I thought it was all right first half, like you said. In the second half, he really sort of came to the front and scored his goal and looked really good, as most of the players did in the second half. But he was our man of the match for me, Hakim Ziyech. And I'm really looking forward to him this season. I think he is going to really make a big difference to his team and add a bit of class to it.
Yeah, I totally agree. And just to mention as well, he's got 14 goals and assists in 18 Champions League games. So that is just, again, that's brilliant. He's someone who is going to deliver in the big competitions, not just the Champions League. You've got the cup competitions that we need to win as well. So, that's brilliant. And we're going to give a chance to CFC Dubois to talk now. So, what do you think, mate, about that Ziyech performance?
Yeah, look, again, I agree with both of you and what you sort of alluded to there. I think, especially Ziyech and his UCL pedigree, I think that's helped massively. And he looked different class today, I think, out of our attackers. He was the one that, was the most direct. He was creating chances and he was sort of, I guess, in a way, our biggest threat. And I think, at the end of the day, he deserved his goal. And, I think comparatively towards with our other attackers, he seemed to be the one trying to elevate their game as well. So, yeah, all in all, I think it was a really positive night for Ziyech. And I think, every Chelsea fan wants this to be the basis where he can push off and now be a regular starter without any injury concerns, all that behind him now. So looking forward to see what he can do.
Yeah, that's the thing as well. You mentioned injuries. Obviously, he has been suffering the first few weeks of his career, but let's hope now this is the game that he builds off. You see so often with players and especially new signings, they have to have that game where they build off and that one sort of standout game. I remember that sort of with Pulisic last year. He wasn't doing too well at the start, but he had that Burnley game, and after that, he was just brilliant. So hopefully that's the same with Ziyech. He just continues on with us now and just does amazing. So yeah, I think that's well wrapped up there about Ziyech. So another area I wanted to discuss really was sort of the defence today, I thought we was a bit shaky in the first half, you know, and sort of first 10 to 15 minutes of the second half. So I want to talk about Thiago Silva now. In our last two games, we've kept clean sheets before Krasnodar, but Thiago Silva was like integral in them, especially in Manchester United. I mean, he was brilliant. Like literally, they was doing like BT Sports were doing an analysis before the game, and you know they were showing some of his clips, sort of where he was instructing players to go, some of the tackles he was putting in, his positioning. So I think we need to discuss about Silva today. Did we miss him, guys? So I'm going to start off with Frank Khalid, because personally, I feel like we did, especially in that first half. We was all over the place. What do you think?
I agree with you. I think we did miss his organisation at the back. I understand why he was rested, because obviously this game is obviously not. This should have been a game we did win, and we should have won it. It was on paper, we should have won it quite easily. So I understand why he was rested. But yeah, Silva does bring a bit of composure to the back. To be fair to the defenders there, I suppose Rudiger is lacking match fitness again. So maybe he needs time to get himself into match fitness. But it was kind of nervy. I mean, you're right. Especially the beginning of the second half, it looked like we could concede quite easily. They hit the bar, which always is a bad sign that defense is struggling a little bit. But you know, in the end, we got the result we wanted, and I think the clean sheet will give them confidence, and hopefully they go on to the next match and do better. But yeah, I feel a lot better having Thiago Silva in that back line than Rudiger at this present moment. But you know, things do change. Anything can happen. Injuries can happen. You just have to look at Liverpool, how many injuries they've got at the moment in the defence, in central defence. So it's probably important that all our central defenders get some sort of minutes underneath their belt. And that's why I was a bit disappointed that Tomori didn't get a chance today. You know, it would have been good for him to get a few minutes as well under his belt. But yeah, I mean, Thiago Silva, for me, I prefer him at the back.
Exactly what you said. I agree with literally all of that. And it's funny that you mentioned Rudiger as well. Something that I guess we could touch upon was Rudiger starting over Tomori. Now, I was a little bit shocked by that. I'm not going to lie. I feel like, I don't know whether it's, I don't know what it is, but he sort of chucked Rudiger back in. You know, he's not been great for the last sort of few months, especially under Lampard. You know, he's such an inconsistent player for me. He's definitely not one of my favourites. Personally, I'd rather have Tomori in there. I just would. You know, I don't like the fact that Rudiger is taking minutes away from a good young prospect. But yeah, I mean, I just wanted to get your thoughts on that, really. Tomori not on the starting 11 over Rudiger. Very, very shocked by that. What do you think, Dubois, about that decision from Frank Lampard?
It's one that baffled me a bit as well. I mean, Rudiger, you know, it was rumoured that he was close to leaving in the summer window just went by. And I think, you know, when you compare that to Tomori, who, you know, was willing to fight for his place and, you know, I think he rejected a couple of moves away. I think obviously Tomori, he's shown glimpses as well. It's not just based on, you know, his determination to stay at the club. I think, you know, he's been given a few cameos here and there. And, you know, we've seen the Tomori that we all know, and he looks solid. He looks like a composed centre-back that, you know, he can really grow under, you know, especially under the wing of someone like Thiago Silva. So for him not to be given game time in, you know, a game like today where, you know, it's Krasnodar, a game we expect to win, but, you know, Lampard's gone with Rudiger, it's a bit of a strange one, especially because we know sort of how defensive like liability can be at times, Rudiger at the back. So I think Tomori can feel hard done by with the decision not to be played today. I think he's got a bright future at Chelsea, but I wouldn't be surprised if I don't blame him either if he wants to look for a move away either in January, you know, if he's hasn't got the game time he probably deserves.
Yeah, that's an interesting point about January. We'll see what happens when that sort of time frame comes around. The most disappointing thing for me really is that Tomori actually decided to stay and fight for his place, and you know he sort of rejected that West Ham move from what we understand. So, you know, I'm very impressed with his attitude that he wanted to fight at Chelsea. But you know, in games like today, I mean, yes, we did struggle in the first half, but overall, you know, it was a very, very simple result to get. You know, I don't think Tomori would have done any worse than Rudiger. In fact, I think he would have done a lot better just because of his pure determination to succeed for Chelsea. You know, and also his defensive qualities. You know, it's not just about determination and passion and all that. It's about his actual qualities. You know, as a defender, he's very quick. He's strong. He's good 1v1 defensively as well. He's good in the tackle. I mean, he really does have all the attributes you need. As a defender, the only thing I could probably knock against Tomori is probably his, you know, sometimes you feel a little bit shaky on the ball like Zuma. I'm not sure whether that's played into Frank Lampard's mind a little bit. Sort of, you know, when choosing the lineup today, you've got Rudiger, who is notoriously quite good on the ball, and then you've got like Zuma, who's not. So maybe playing Tomori and Zuma, who are both quite shaky on the ball, isn't the best thing to do. You could flip it that way if you're thinking about, if you're like trying to be Frank Lampard. But then again, Tomori and Zuma have showed like numerous times that they can play together. So, you know, I feel like we may be being a little bit picky, but it's just trying to see both points of view, really trying to, you know, be balanced and fair. You got to try and think from Lampard's perspective as well. And obviously, speaking about Lampard, he did have those positive talks with Antonio Rudiger as well in the week, as we learned out from Matt Law. So again, another very, very interesting point to take going forward for Tomori. You know, is he going to be dropped regularly? Well, not dropped because he already is dropped, but, you know, basically not playing as much, not even getting a chance. It's going to be like, it's a very, very interesting time for him, I think, because Silva's are nailed on, and then you've got Zuma who's pretty much nailed on. So it's sort of, you know, and let's not forget Christensen as well. It's sort of Rudiger, Christensen, Tomori. So I don't know. I don't think we're ever going to be happy, sort of, unless it's Silva and Zuma. I feel like between those other three, we're never going to be happy, because you can pretty much say negatives about all of them, but then you can say positives about all of them. So, guys, we really can't win on the centre-back debate, really, between those three, Christensen, Zuma and Tomori. Let us know your thoughts down below if you're watching on YouTube, or if you're listening on Spotify, then make sure to DM us and tell us what you think about the centre-back sort of pairing should be going forward. And if you think it's Silva and Zuma, then who should be the third option to come in when either of those aren't playing? So I feel like that's enough about the centre-backs now and the defence today. Let's move on to something more positive. So Edouard Mendy, man, this guy has been just amazing, in my opinion, since he's joined. £22.5 million. Very, very cheap. Scouted by Petr Cech. He's got those long arms. He's very, very good at saves. You know, like those diving saves, especially. Man U one against Rashford was incredible. He's got those long arms, you know. He's just brilliant. He really, really is good. His positioning is miles better than Kepa. So, yeah, I really wanted to sort of get your opinions on Edouard Mendy and how you think he's done, how you think he is going to be going forward. I'm very, very positive about this goalkeeper. I mean, I've been a notorious criticiser of Kepa for right and wrong reasons. You know, I probably do admit I didn't give him enough time before, but now I feel like I've been proven right. He's very, very bad. But yeah, guys, let's start on Mendy. Dubois, what do you think about Mendy overall, how his future lies at Chelsea? And one question I'm going to throw at both you and Frank, we'll start with you, Dubois. Do you want another goalkeeper next summer? Do you want a Donnarumma, or do you want to keep Mendy if he does good enough as a starting option? What do you think? Let's go with Dubois first.
With Mendy, I think, you know, he started really well. He settled in well, it seems, in the games that he has played. He's keeping clean sheets. I think Spurs, I'm not sure about the only game that he conceded, but he looks to be someone that, you know, he's brought calmness to the defence. He's someone that you can tell there's a massive difference in the way Chelsea defend when they have, like when we have Mendy, rather than when we have Kepa. I think with Kepa, there's always that fear that he's going to make a mistake, and he has proven to do that, and that's probably why. So, yeah, with Mendy, he looks to be promising. I mean, he's 28, which for a goalkeeper, you know, he's not at his prime. So there's definitely a chance that he can be a long-term goalkeeper. So moving on to this question you asked, I think it's a tough one, because if Mendy continues to perform like he has already and he continues to elevate his game, I'm not sure there's a need to spend on a goalkeeper, because obviously goalkeepers tend to last longer in their careers. And, you know, Mendy's early signs are really positive. So it might be a position that we don't need to spend on. So I'm not going to jump the gun and say that we need to spend big on a goalkeeper, you know, because Mendy's not the biggest name. So it is one that I think we'll have to wait and to see how it plays out and then decide next season. But, you know, the signs at the moment are really positive. And if they continue to be like this, I think, you know, I don't think there'll be a need to spend on, say, an Oblak. But I'm quite interested to see what Frank has to say about this.
I actually agree with yourself. Actually, I think there's no need to buy another goalkeeper. I actually, you know, what Mendy has brought to the team is composure, calm defense, and there's a reason why he's getting so many clean sheets. It's because you're right, his positioning is a lot better than our previous goalkeepers. I hate criticising any goalkeeper or any player of ours. But yeah, but Kepa is definitely has a lack of confidence at the moment. He had a very good first season, but last season wasn't great for him, and this season it's not been great for him. And I think it's lack of confidence with him. I I wouldn't buy another goalkeeper. I'll have Mendy as number one and Kepa as number two. And I mean, what can you say? I mean, he made good saves in the Man United game, which got us our clean sheet, and just everything about him. I mean, his positioning, free kicks. I feel more confident now. Where whenever Kepa was in there, it felt like every free kick was going in, every long shot was going in. But with Mendy, you know, it gives me confidence. And if it gives me confidence, it gives the defense confidence. It gives everyone confidence. And if you're going to win trophies, you need a confident goalkeeper. And Mendy, for me, so far in the 4 games, I don't know how many games he's played, 5 games he's played, you know, he's looked really, really good. The goal he conceded against Spurs, it wasn't much he can do about that, unfortunately. That was an error, obviously defensive error that led to that goal. But for me, I'll stick with Mendy. And you know, there's no guarantee that you spend another 100 million on an Oblak that's going to solve your problems, is it? And for me, we stick with the goalkeeper. And if Peter Cech believes in him, I believe in him. And it looks like, so far, he is a good goalkeeper. I mean, I haven't seen many weaknesses. He made an error the other day, obviously against Man United, where he slightly miskicked it back. It went off, but luckily, he wasn't punished for that. But besides that, he looks very confident at this early stage. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you made a lot of good points there, especially with the Petr Cech one. You said if Petr Cech believes in him, then I believe in him. Now, I used to be sort of against that take when people told me, like, oh, we should sign Ben Chilwell because Ashley Cole loves him and rates him. I was sort of against that, but I've got to admit, I mean, I've been pretty proven wrong so far. It looks like Ashley Cole was right. Who would have thought, you know, me being my annoying self and being against signings. But yeah, honestly, I mean, with Mendy, I'm just so confident, and I think he's confident as well. You mentioned Kepa doesn't have confidence. That's what Mendy has. Like, that's what you need in the goalkeeper. It's probably like one of the most important positions, to be honest, on the field. And I just think he's got such a good mentality. I don't know if you guys have read stories about his upbringing and stuff like that, but you know, he's been unemployed in his career and he's gone through like different French divisions and stuff like that. And now he's got his chance at Chelsea and he's taking it. Fair play to him. Brilliant, honestly. Very, very happy with Mendy. So yeah, that's going to be that on Mendy. Let me know again what your thoughts are down below on Mendy. Feel free to DM us or whatever. We'll happily respond. But now, anyway, this is a big one. Now, today, Frank Lampard sort of changed the formation. You know, around, I'm not sure what time it was. I think it was around 60th or 70th minute mark. But we started with a 4-2-3-1 with a pivot of Jorginho and Kovacic, or Jovicic, as a lot of Chelsea fans like to say. And, you know, that's like a whole different debate in itself. Are they good enough to play in a pivot? Do they leave too much space? I could say yes, they did from today. But, you know, overall, would you guys prefer 4-2-3-1 or 4-3-3 going forward? Because today, I mean, when we brought on those subs, we changed to a 4-3-3. We was much more attacking. We scored the goals and it just looked overall a lot better. Now, I have quite a lot to say on this, obviously 4-3-3, but I'll let you guys speak first. So let's go with Dubois first. So again, a couple of questions, as I said, 4-3-3 or 4-3-2 or 4-2-3-1. And obviously, what was your thoughts on it today?
Be successful. It's a good question. I think, especially with the way we started in the 4-2-3-1, I wasn't a big fan of it. I don't think many people were. We didn't look very comfortable. Players weren't, you know, it just wasn't linking up well, and we weren't looking very threatening to a Krasnodar team who, you know, I think they're mid-table in the Russian league. So it wasn't the best. So as soon as we switched, obviously, it changed. We started, you know, being more threatening, and it is something that I think Frank's tried last season with a lone DM and 2 8s, which I'm not sure worked that well last season. So I was a bit surprised that it sort of clicked today when he changed to it. But what we did see, I think, was a complete transformation. We sort of looked more threatening on the attack. I was happy to see Mason Mount come on in his actual position rather than on the wing. I thought Pulisic was really direct, like he always is, and he made a difference. So yeah, I think it's a hard one, because whether we should use it long term is another issue. I think another problem in itself, because I'm not sure we've had a large enough sample size of having a lone DM and 2 8s in order to say that, yeah, this is something we need to stick with long term. Like, yes, it worked today, so I'm sure he'll try it again. And I think that's what we have to do. We have to be careful and not hedge our bets and say this is the one we're going to stick with. I think one thing about Lampard that's good is that he's quite flexible. He won't, he's not stubborn like Sarri was with the same formation. So I think it's something we should definitely test and see how it goes, because obviously it made a big difference today. So I have no doubts that he'll go with it again. But I'm not sure whether it's something we're going to stick with. So that's answering that question. And then if we are going to use it, it's tough, because today we obviously went with a lone DM and 2 8. So I think it was Kante, Mount, and Havertz. But in a 4-3-3, I'm still not convinced that a lone DM is the way forward. So if I was to pick a midfield three in the 4-3-3, I think, for me, it would be Kovacic. Oh, it's a tough one, actually, like, thinking about it, because Kante is hard to drop in a 4. I'd probably go Kovacic, Kante, and Havertz in a 4-3-3. That it's really tough for me to even come to that conclusion, but yeah, I think Kovacic's ball progression, Kante, and his defensive abilities coupled with Havertz, his attacking threat, I think for me would be the best way to forward in a 4-3-3.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with that. A lot of what you said then. It's a very interesting discussion. So, I mean, I'll give my opinion in a minute, but let's move on to Frank. What do you think about the 4-3-3 for now and also long term?
I'm a big fan of 4-3-3, and I would like just to start off with that. And obviously, depending on how the game goes, you change the system along. But he needs to stick to one system, one system that the team is confident with. And then obviously you can change it for particular teams. If you're playing against a particular team, you want to change that system, you change it. But he needs to stick with one. And I prefer the 4-3-3. And I agree with the boy there that I think that Kovacic, Kante, and Havertz are my middle three as well. I think they complement each other. And obviously the front three speak for themselves: Pulisic, Ziyech, and Werner up for the front three. 4-3-3 for me is the way forward. And I think we have to be positive. I think defence is looking after itself. We've got Silva in defence. We've got Mendy there. Chilwell's doing very well down there. We have to believe in the team, and we have to be tech-minded. We can't just stick back and hope to get results. I think we need to be positive. We need to do what Liverpool do, which is basically attack. And this is probably our best attacking formation, as far as I can see. And I would like us to start with this and just see how we get on with a few matches rather than change. It seems to be changing one system after another, different matches, and it's just the players are not settled. They need to settle on a system. And to me, 4-3-3 today, we did well when we changed to 4-3-3, and I would stick with that personally.
Yeah, I think you've really hit the nail on the head there. I mean, you said about Lampard being sort of changing things all the time. Dubois said he's flexible, but I almost, in my personal opinion, think he's like almost too flexible. As you said, he changes stuff, whether it be like pairings or formation or like different winger choices or, different left back, right back. I just feel like we need to get something settled, and that's really what we've not had now for like a year since he's taken over. It's just sort of been constantly changing things about, and as a fan, that's very, very annoying. Unless we've got a world-class squad like Man City, I mean, you shouldn't really do that, especially when Lampard's like not even like, I mean, he's got some experience, but he's not an elite tactical manager that you can sort of say, oh, right, yeah, today we're going to go with this and we're going to play world class, because we don't, or another day we're going to go and play this, and that will, nothing is ever guaranteed to work out with Lampard. So I think if he can set on sort of one system, then that would be amazing, because it would just give us more fluidity if it is the 4-3-3, or if it's 4-2-3-1, then we've got better defensive structure. So, it's hard. It is hard as a manager for him. I can totally understand why he changes it all the times. Even though we have spent loads of money, guys, remember, this may not be Lampard's full squad. He does want a Declan Rice still. So I know that from being just informed and asking about and stuff, I know he does still want Declan Rice. And I would imagine that is to play 4-3-3 because, I don't know, even though Rice plays sort of next to someone, I just feel like he will play 4-3-3 with like a Rice, Mount Havertz. That's sort of what I'm personally seeing, which will be interesting. I mean, those that know me know I'm a big Kovacic fanboy, so I'd rather Kovacic plays over Mount in a 4-3-3. But yeah, it's very, very interesting discussion. Again, going back to the sort of lineup she was mentioned there, or the positions in midfield, the three. I mean, if it is a 4-3-3, personally for me, I would have Kovacic, Kante, and Havertz, but I'd have sort of Kovacic obviously close to Kante because when I see this 4-3-3 us playing it, even with Kante, I see us getting like exposed quite a lot, in transitions. That's what happens with Jorginho and also happens with Kante because when you play Mount, Kante, Havertz, I just feel like in the big games, Mount and Havertz going to push too high and then it'll leave Kante isolated. So I think if you have Kovacic in there, it gives a small balance, because he's not going to go as forward as much. And then that allows Havertz to be the one who goes forward and creates and stuff. I don't want two I guess it's two attacking eights, isn't it? We're in a 4-3-3. I want a more balanced 4-3-3 is basically what I'm trying to explain here. So yeah, it's going to be very, very interesting going forward, but it's all open to discussion, really. There's so many different debates as to what we could or should do. And remember, guys, when I say Lampard is overly flexible and needs to stick to one system, that is true. But also, you can have, I'm not going to be like super harsh on Lampard. If there is a game where we need to play a 5 at the back or a 3 at the back, technically a 5 at the back, so we have 2 wing backs. So if there is a game where we need to play that, then let's play that. We have had some very, very good results with that. Spurs away, I think Ajax away, we might have played it, not sure. There's been a few games where we've played 3 at the back, and we've been very good. So it's not to say you can't be flexible, but for me, overly flexible at times. That's what I'd say. So yeah, that's going to be that discussion over the 4-3-3 versus the 4-2-3-1. And again, leave us comments down below on what you think about that. Guys, and the last topic for the episode we're going to move on to is Declan Rice versus Ethan Ampadu next season. Now, this is hypothetically speaking if Lampard does go to a 4-3-3 and he sets his eyes on Declan Rice. Now, the question is, do we need Declan Rice or do we need Ampadu? Who do you think's the better player? All that sort of thing. That's the whole debate here. For me, personally, I'm going to expand on it more after my 2 people here have spoken, but I personally would like Ethan Ampadu back over Declan Rice. And yeah, as I said, I'll expand on it more in a minute, but let's start off with Frank first. What is your whole opinion on this Declan Rice versus Ethan Ampadu debate that's been going around for ages now?
I think Declan Rice is a really good player, but my problem with it is that £80 million is a lot of money to pay for someone in that position. And we've got Ethan Ampadu, who I feel just needs a bit of minutes underneath his belt. And the other day he played against Liverpool. He played really, really well. And I personally think that he could do just as good a job as Declan Rice. But obviously, as he's on loan at the moment to Sheffield United, the more minutes he gets, the better he's going to get. And I would stick with Ethan Ampadu. I mean, he's our player at the moment, so we don't have to pay any fee or anything. And the fact is, at the end of the day, he's more than capable of doing the exact same job that Declan Rice can do. I know it's going to upset a few people, and I do like Declan Rice, but £80 million, and West Ham don't look like they're going to let go of him. There's no point us even talking about him unless they're going to reduce their fee. But I would stick with Ethan Ampadu. And we've got so many good players out on loan. I want to give them a chance. I want them to have opportunities in the Chelsea team. And Ethan deserves, more than anyone else does. And the fact that he's flexible as well, he can play in central defence as well. He played against Spurs last year, obviously in the Champions League, played really well. He had his injury problems last season. That's why we didn't see the best of him. But for me, I would give Ethan a chance. I like him. I think he can do just as good a job as Declan Rice.
Yeah, that's honestly nail on the head. I mean, yeah, I'm literally blown away. That's a great answer. Dubois, what do you think about this? Anything to expand on what Frank said?
Yeah, see, with obviously, I think Frank said the nail on the head as well. I think many of the points he mentioned is stuff I agree with. I think I'm perhaps more on the fence with this one. I'm not as clear cut with my decision on it being Ampadu. I think thing is with Chelsea and Declan Rice, obviously, I think, he's obviously been admired by Lampard for a while now, and it's someone that, I think, Chelsea want to bring in. I think as a player, Declan Rice, I'm a very, very big fan of Declan Rice. I made it quite clear as well on Twitter. I feel like Declan Rice has qualities that, especially, he's captained West Ham, 23 years old, I think he is. I think he gets underrated a little bit on Twitter and, in general. I think he's, his defensive qualities, he can play as centre-back, as CDM. I think obviously Ampadu can as well. It's not to say Ampadu can't, though I think Ampadu's more secure in a three at the back, which Chelsea don't play as often. But I think, his versatility, Declan Rice's, his leadership, which I think is the big one, he's got qualities which I don't see much in midfielders at the moment. So, I'm a very, very big Declan Rice fan. And with Ampadu, I see his qualities. I see where, people come from and rate him highly, and I do as well. But if I was to decide on which one I'd prefer, I think Ampadu would probably just edge it based on the fact that Declan Rice would be, like Frank alluded to, I think £80 million has been quoted. So it's a lot of money to spend on Declan Rice when we've got Ampadu, who has a potential to become a very, very good player. And we've seen that. But I think there's a little bit more about Declan Rice in terms of his, ability to play in a four at the back and equally as well as playing in midfield that, could sway me. But I think it's just a price tag, really. If we can bring the price tag down, then, perhaps I'd give it more consideration. But I'd just edge it for Ampadu, I reckon.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not discrediting Rice at all. I mean, I do think he's a good player. I really want Ethan Ampadu to succeed at Chelsea. I mean, I've just got this burning feeling in me that I know he'll succeed if he gets these minutes next season. And, for me, when I'm trying to, I don't know, what's the word, trying to, view this sort of debate, I sort of always come back to what the Rice fans say he can do. And then I compare it to what Ethan Ampadu can do. And as Frank said, they're very similar qualities. I mean, what Rice fans say is he can play centre-back and DM. Okay, Ampadu can do that. Both very versatile. So that's kind of like a one point to each there. You've got Rice fans who say he's pretty quick. I mean, Ampadu's pretty quick. Rice, good in 1v1 defending, both centre-back and DM. I mean, Ampadu, again, very, very good at 1v1 defending in both positions. And then, you've got the ability to sniff out danger, which a lot of Rice fans tell me. I believe Ampadu can do that as well. And I think Ampadu's got a very, very high IQ, football IQ, especially on the pitch. I really believe in this kid. I know he can make it places, and I just really don't want another story where Ampadu just succeeds and that's another bloody youngster that, is off our books, and it's just, how it's like. It's horrible feeling when one of our youngsters who we didn't give a proper chance to goes and smashes it somewhere else. And some players I feel like that about, and some players I don't. And Ampadu's one of them that I do feel like that about. I really think he'll smash it somewhere else. And I just think now's his time. Maybe a few years ago or a couple of years ago, he wasn't quite matured yet. But with this Sheffield United loan, he's impressing me so much when he plays, especially, I've always been impressed with him for Wales, but Sheffield United, when he's playing, he's just brilliant. I think he's got a good manager there with Wilder as well. Very, very good tactical manager to learn from. So, yeah, I only see positives from Ethan Ampadu. Picking up on one of your points there, Dubois, about Rice, I mean, the thing that I do agree with, he has got his leadership, maybe that Ampadu doesn't have just yet. So I guess that's one pro you could give to Rice. But then to sort of counter that, I could say that, well, if Thiago Silva stays next year, then Ethan Ampadu comes into the team, learns leadership off him, takes over that role. He can turn into a leader in a year with Thiago Silva, no doubt about it. I think Ampadu could turn into a very, very good leader in a month with Thiago Silva. This guy, Thiago Silva, is incredible what he's done in his career. Just the way he teaches players and everything, man, he's incredible. And, he'll speak much better English next year as well. So it's not a case of misunderstanding, there won't be any of that miscommunication, etc. And I think to wrap it off, the main thing for me is the 80 million price tag. If you get Rice down to a 50 million, I still won't be happy, because that means Ethan Ampadu probably won't be coming back to play DM or centre-back. I just think 50 million's a much better price tag if we are going to do it than 80 million. 100%, like miles off, miles better than 80 million. So I think I'll still be annoyed if it happens, but I can understand Rice for 50 million if we really want to. And it'll be another case of Frank Lampard being backed by the board. So yeah, I mean, let's see what happens to that. I could go on with this debate for literally forever, guys, but it will go on forever if I go into other areas, but we haven't got that time. So we're going to just pretty much wrap off this episode now. We've spoken about a lot of topics today with a match review and then ending up with an Ethan Ampadu versus Rice debate. So I hope you guys have enjoyed. We're going to say goodbye to Frank now. And also Frank's going to tell us a little bit about himself, what he does, and also where you can find him on social media. If you don't know him already, I'm pretty sure most of you will know who he is already. But if you don't, Frank's going to plug his socials. So go ahead with your talk, Frank. I'd love to hear it. Let's go.
No problem. Okay. Well, my name is Frank Khalid, and I own several businesses. My main business is Cash and K. I also own a restaurant and also a film studios. But I'm involved in football. I do own a football agency called Touch Sky Group. And on top of that, I also am partners with Mark Wahlberg, the Hollywood actor. I sell a water. So that's my business side of it. But also football-wise, I've been supporting Chelsea since 1976. So it's been a good long time. And on my social media, obviously, I'm in Twitter. My handle is Frank Khalid UK, as is my Instagram, and as is majority of my accounts are all that. But yeah, YouTube is something I've also started to work on a little bit. So my YouTube channel is also Frank Khalid UK. So guys, if you can subscribe, like, and comment on it, I'll appreciate it. But yeah, thank you guys for giving me this opportunity to be on your third podcast. I've really enjoyed it, and I wish you all the success. And I've really enjoyed it, and I'm pretty sure everyone else will enjoy listening to you guys. Thank you.
Thank you. I think what we'll do as well, we will put Frank's all his handles, social media handles, in the description. So make sure you check that out. And I think, again, we want to give him another massive thank you for coming on as well, because our first guest, and Pice and myself, obviously invested a lot of time into this, and we're looking, to start the journey, and who better to start with than Frank. So unless Pice, you have anything else to add, I think we should call this the end of the first episode.
Yeah, I mean, just again to reiterate, guys, when he does say like, subscribe to my YouTube, please make sure you go and do it. I mean, honestly, this guy's been so helpful to me personally on my Twitter platform with posts and stuff, just retweets, likes, comments, anything. He's so helpful. So go and interact with him, guys. Very, very nice guy. One of the most well-respected accounts in the Chelsea community. So yeah, as Dubois said, go and check Frank out, and especially this episode. I hope you have enjoyed it. It's our first ever one, so don't be too harsh on us, but we'll have more guests coming. I'm very, very excited for this journey. Hopefully, well, not hopefully, we are going to improve every episode and get better. So yeah, from me and Dubois, it's thank you for watching, and thank you again for Frank, for coming on. Thanks, guys.